Fareed Zakaria did some commentary on the decline of America, or more specifically, the American empire, under Donald Trump. I want to watch, and then we'll talk about it.
In London last week, I met a Nigerian man who succinctly expressed the reaction of much of the world to America these days. "Your country has gone crazy," he said, with a mixture of outrage and amusement. "I'm from Africa. I know crazy, but I didn't ever think I would see this in America." The world has gone through bouts of anti-Americanism before, but this one feels very different. First, there is the sheer shock at what is going on, the bizarre candidacy of Donald Trump, which has been followed by an utterly chaotic presidency. The chaos is at such a fever pitch that one stalwart Republican, Karl Rove, described the president this week as vindictive, impulsive, and short-sighted, and his public shaming of the Attorney General as unfair, unjustified, unseemly, and stupid. Another Republican, Kenneth Starr, the one-time Grand Inquisitor of Bill Clinton, went further, calling Trump's treatment of Jeff Sessions one of the most outrageous and profoundly misguided courses of presidential conduct I have witnessed in 5 decades in and around the nation's capital. But there's a larger aspect to the fall in respect for America. According to a recent Pew Research Center study of 37 countries, people around the world increasingly believe that they can make do without America. Trump's presidency has made the U.S. something worse than we feared or derided. It is becoming irrelevant. The most fascinating finding of the Pew survey was not that Trump is deeply unpopular, 22% approval compared to Obama's 64% at the end of his presidency. That was to be expected, but that there are now alternatives. On the question of confidence in various leaders to do the right thing regarding world affairs, Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin got slightly higher marks than Trump, but Angela Merkel got almost twice as much support as Trump. In 2008, I wrote a book about the emerging post-American world, which was, I noted at the start, not about the decline of America, but rather about the rise of the rest. Amidst the parochialism, ineptitude, and sheer disarray of the Trump presidency, the post-American world is coming to fruition much faster than I ever expected.
Okay, so I have a lot to say about this. First of all, yeah, part of what he's saying is true, because Trump wears it on his sleeve. He's got that kind of like goofy, authoritarian, strongman persona, you know, kind of shoots from the hip, but has developed a cult of personality, has no regard for separation of powers, or, you know, the institutions of the U.S., doesn't even really know how they fucking function, he's not bright. Like, so yeah, part of what he's saying is true. Is a guy like Trump speeding up the decline of American empire? Yes. But I think what annoys me about this clip is how unreflective it is in the assumptions made about American empire. Like, he just kind of assumes that American empire is a good thing and leading the world is a good thing, and oh my god, look at this crazy guy coming along speeding up the decline of it. But that's not... that's such a childish, embedded U.S. view of like, oh yeah, like obviously it's good, right? That we're like the #1 bully on the fucking playground. No, I mean, when they've done extensive polling on this, U.S. polling agencies, I forgot whether it was Pew or Gallup, but they found out that when you ask people all around the world what country is the #1 threat to world peace, it's overwhelmingly the U.S. So we beat out North Korea, Pakistan and India, Russia. People look at it, yeah, they're the fucking problem. So I guess what annoys me about this is how insular Fareed's opinion is, and there's just a lot of assumptions in his commentary. The assumption is like, well, obviously American empire is good. That'll be the default assumption in my rant, and then I'll talk about how Trump speeding up the decline is obviously a bad thing, and oh my god, how terrible, look how unpopular he is. But then the other part of it is, there's also just a complete denial or ignoring of the shitty things Obama did. Like, Obama puts a happy face on a lot of shitty policies. So he gives good speeches and he talks about flowery things and high-minded ideals, but at the end of the day, We had 7 interventions under Obama, a record number of deportations, our infrastructure gets a grade of D+, Guantanamo Bay was still open, there's a war on whistleblowers, we're still buddy-buddy with Saudi Arabia, you know, one of our top allies, Israel, doing a permanent occupation and apartheid, Saudi Arabia treating women like second-class citizens, massacring civilians in Yemen on purpose. So there's just like, you know, it's almost like the argument he's making without even realizing that he's making it is, man, weren't things great when we had all these shitty things going on, but we masked it really effectively for the world? You know, we put a great figurehead in there who masked it and made everybody feel okay about the disgusting things that the U.S. is doing. And I don't think that's a good thing for Reed. And by the way, I'm not doing a full equivalence here between Obama and Trump. I think it's very clear that Obama was better for a variety of reasons. But that inability to digest the level of shittiness in previous administrations is annoying and myopic. So, like, you know, no mention of George W. Bush, for example. I mean, here's a guy who started a war against a country that didn't attack us, killed a minimum 200,000 civilians, set up a worldwide torture regime, opened Guantanamo Bay, totally got rid of habeas corpus, and ignored the Constitution with the Patriot Act. Like, a due process gone, forget about it. So, like, okay, he seemed like a more affable, likable guy on a personal level, Bush did, compared to Trump. But the things he did were just as hideous, if not more hideous, than the things Trump does. So it's like this idea of like, well, you know, everybody before Trump, oh, they're in the reasonable category and totally acceptable to one degree or another, whereas Trump, oh my God, so beyond the pale. That's just, honestly, a stupid view and an unreflective view. So, yeah, that just annoyed me about this little rant here by Fareed Zakaria. I mean, he's partly right that Trump is speeding up the decline of American empire, but, I mean, in some ways that's a good thing. The way in which Trump is speeding up the decline is not a good thing, but overall the idea of declining American empire, yeah, we have fucking 800 military bases all around the world. It costs $100 billion a year to maintain those military bases. Meanwhile, Flint, Michigan doesn't even have clean water. Our infrastructure gets a grade of D+. 50% of the country makes $30,000 a year or less. You think maybe it's time to allocate those resources here and give us universal health care? We're the only modern nation that doesn't have that. 45,000 people die every year because we don't have that. So, Trump is speeding up the decline of American empire in a bad way because it's not like he's refocusing, you know, all of our resources and energy on things that matter and make sense. He's not doing that at all. He's going to squander those resources, and he's not even really, you know, lowering military spending. He's increasing military spending. Another thing that Fareed doesn't really bring up or touch on. But it would be good to unravel the empire and reallocate those resources in a way that help regular people and that make us a more enlightened nation. But, you know, it seems like there's no even touching on how regular people are affected, how U.S. policies affect people at home and abroad in Fareed's commentary here. It's just he's, you know, ranting about how bad Trump is and how beyond the pale he is and how, oh my God, a post-American world, how, heaven forbid, how will people survive? I think people will be just fine. And we never really had a robust conversation in the first place as to whether or not the American people wanted this role. Because Americans don't even know half of what their fucking government does, especially with foreign policy. When you look at the list of countries that we've been involved in militarily post-World War II, my guess is if you show regular Americans that, they'd be like, what the fuck? Why are we doing that? We're wasting our tax money. That's right. So, I don't know. It's a very elitist inside-the-bubble view here that Fareed gives, even though in parts he's half right.